Following pressure from President Trump, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles says it's opened multiple election fraud investigations in California. Yesterday, the office also sent a federal prosecutor to monitor vote counting at the Los Angeles County Tabulation Center. Trump and federal officials have provided no specific allegations of fraud occurring in this week's election. But the DOJ recently posted a tip line on social media asking Californians to email, quote, credible information concerning election fraud. That move comes as President Trump, who obviously has a history of pushing election fraud conspiracies, continues to promote unsubstantiated claims of election cheating by California Democrats.
They're rigging the election right now, it looks like, in California. Can you imagine? It's 4 days, and they still aren't even close to telling you who won. You know why? Because they're rigging the election. That's why. Bad things are happening. It's a crooked state. We have crooked third world elections in a lot of our states, and we should pass our Save America Act.
Joining us now, California Attorney General Rob Bonta. Attorney General, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Can you talk to us a little bit about what the presence on the ground and monitoring the situation, as you have said, looks like at this L.A. County vote counting facility, and actions that were taken by the federal prosecutor who visited the tabulation center, and whether or not there's been any specifics provided about these, quote, investigations that have been opened?
Sure. As you know, the right to vote is fundamental. It's the right from which all other rights flow. And voting only works when voters can exercise that right without interference, intimidation, and fear. And Trump, unfortunately, has tried to impose interference, intimidation, and fear time after time. And we are going to protect the integrity of our elections, the safety, security, accuracy of those elections. And so when the Trump administration sent a federal official to L.A. County to inspect the vote counting process, we sent a monitor of our own to be on the ground, to be there, to be present, to observe, to ensure there was no interference or anything inappropriate. And so we had an individual there. And that was important that we did. We did that during Prop 50 as well, the election back in November, when the Trump administration sent monitors. We had observers to observe their monitors. And with respect to the statements by the first assistant in the Central District of California about some of the investigations that they say they are engaged in, there are no details. There is no specifics. There is no specific allegation of any individualized active voter fraud, and every count, recount, hand count, court case, and audit has shown time and time again, not just in California, but throughout this country, that there is no widespread voter fraud. It is only a figment of the imagination of Trump and others who follow that conspiracy theory.
You and other AGs meet often, I'm told, and probably on a group chat, let us in if you want to, but having conversations about what you guys are facing, the kinds of lawsuits when you guys are enjoining your states together. Donald Trump is showing what could happen in November. This federal prosecutor visiting this ballot counting facility in L.A. feels like a blueprint of what could happen. What are you and the other Gs, other AGs, what's that conversation like about what the prep is like? How are you defending the right to vote? How are you defending your states and the voters in those states from what could be the president of the United States, the DOJ, mucking it up?
Me and the other 23 attorneys general, we speak regularly. We're in constant contact, constant communication. We are assessing all of the potentially unlawful and actually unlawful actions of the Trump administration and preparing a response on behalf of the constituents of our respective states. We are better as a team than we are on our own, and we are committed to working together as co-equals, sovereigns, representing sovereign states, each ourselves. And one of the issue that has risen to the top of the list of concerns of our constituents has been concerns about voting integrity. I think a lot of people in our states expect a blue wave, but they are not sure that their vote is going to be counted, and that there would be interference, potentially could be interference from the Trump administration in many different forms, whether it be military or ICE at or near polling stations, whether it be interference with vote by mail through the U.S. Postal Service, whether it be the seizure of ballots. And we believe that we owe our collective constituents readiness, preparedness, a plan of action for every single one of those potential scenarios. And so we have tabletopped and gamed out each of these scenarios, and we have a plan. We're ready to move swiftly and quickly to block and stop any of these potential unlawful actions by the Trump administration, and we think that's what we owe our constituents.
So then, Attorney General Bonta, your tabletopping, your scenario planning. For instance, let's say President Trump decides to send either the National Guard or the military to California polling sites. What can you, as the Attorney General of California, do to either thwart that from happening or to bring the president to heel? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, elections are not federal. They're not run by the federal government. They're run by the states.
That's right. And to that last point, the Elections Clause of the U.S. Constitution says that the time, place, and manner of elections throughout the United States of America shall be determined by the states and also to a degree by Congress. The president, the executive branch, has zero authority to dictate the time, place, and manner of the elections. And so if in the scenario you presented, if the Trump administration seeks to deploy the military, say it's the National Guard, to polling stations, we will be ready within minutes to go to court and secure an order blocking his attempt to do so. We have the briefing ready. We just need to cross the T's, dot the I's, and go to court. It is unlawful under federal law, under the law of the federal government, to have military or those with weapons at or near polling stations. So that is a blatantly unlawful action. It will take a court, I believe, a very short time to review our briefs and issue an order and have that military removed, dispersed from the voting area.
California Attorney General Rob Bonta, thank you very much for coming to the weekend. I know it's early out there in California.
Pleasure.